What if the city you called home for years suddenly stopped feeling like yours? Las Vegas was meant to be a place where working families could build a real life. Sunshine, no state income tax, a home that felt reachable. But in 2026, something didn't just change, it broke. Longtime residents are leaving right now in numbers not seen in over a decade, and once they go, they rarely return. This is not just about money. It is about who Las Vegas is being rebuilt for. And by the end of this video, you will understand why this shift may not be reversible. Number 10. The city no longer sleeps, and neither do they. Las Vegas was always a 24-hour town, but there used to be a rhythm. Tourists stayed on the Strip and the rest of the valley settled down after dark. That balance is gone. Now the noise bleeds into every neighborhood. Ride shares honking at 2 in the morning, construction crews working overnight, bass from pool parties rattling windows 3 blocks away, helicopters circling for tourist flights at hours that used to be sacred. Even the hum of delivery trucks has become constant as late-night commerce exploded across the city. Residents who moved here for affordable peace are now living inside a city that never turns off. One local put it simply, "I used to sleep through the night. Now I wake up wondering what new event is happening outside my window." It's not just annoying, it's exhausting. Chronic sleep disruption affects everything from mental health to job performance. Doctors in the valley have reported rising cases of insomnia and anxiety tied directly to environmental noise. And when your own home no longer feels restful, you start asking hard questions. For families with kids or retirees seeking calm, the answer is becoming obvious. They're done fighting for silence in a city that forgot how to be quiet. The peace they came here for no longer exists, and many have simply had enough. But noise is only one part of the daily grind, because even running basic errands in Las Vegas has turned into something locals dread. Number 9. Everyday errands became a tourist obstacle course. Picture this. You need milk, gas, and a prescription. Simple, right? Not in Las Vegas anymore. Grocery stores near the Strip are jammed with visitors loading up on bottled water and snacks. Pharmacies have lines wrapped around the aisles. Even filling up your tank turns into a 15-minute wait behind rental cars and confused tourists checking their GPS. What used to be a quick in-and-out errand now requires patience most people don't have after a long shift. And forget about finding parking at your usual spots during convention season. Locals have started planning their lives around tourist patterns. Early mornings before the crowds wake, late nights when the buses have left. Some avoid entire streets altogether just to save their sanity. What used to take 20 minutes now takes an hour, and it's not seasonal anymore. The flood of visitors is constant. Every weekend, every holiday, every random Tuesday in February. The valley welcomed over 40 million visitors last year. That's incredible for the economy. But for residents just trying to live normal lives, it feels like the city stopped being theirs. You shouldn't have to strategize a trip to the pharmacy like you're navigating an airport. Yet here we are. Even small daily tasks have become sources of stress rather than routine. The frustration is real, and it builds up over time. And if dodging tourists feels exhausting, wait until you see what happened to the neighborhoods locals thought were protected. Number 8. Housing turned into a short-term rental battlefield. There was a time when Las Vegas neighborhoods felt like neighborhoods. Families next door, block parties in the summer, kids riding bikes down the street. Now entire blocks have turned into rotating guest houses. Short-term rentals exploded across the valley. Investors bought up properties and converted them into mini hotels. What was once a quiet cul-de-sac became a weekend party destination for bachelorette groups and bachelor blowouts. Trash piled up on lawns. Strangers parked across driveways. The sense of community vanished almost overnight. Some blocks now have more rental listings than actual residents living in them full-time. Long-time renters watch their leases disappear. Landlords realized they could make more money with nightly bookings than with families paying monthly. The result? Rental inventory collapsed and prices surged. A 2-bedroom apartment that cost $1,200 5 years ago now runs closer to $2,000. For locals trying to stay, the math stopped working. They weren't just priced out. They were pushed out by a business model that treated their community like a product. City officials have tried to regulate the chaos, but but enforcement has been slow and inconsistent. Meanwhile, the damage is done. Stability vanished. Neighbors became strangers every weekend, and the people who built their lives here found themselves competing with algorithms and investors for a place to sleep. But even those who held onto housing faced another gut punch waiting in their paychecks. Number 7. Service jobs. Pay the same while costs exploded. Las Vegas was built on hospitality. Dealers, servers, housekeepers, bartenders. These jobs once offered a real path to middle-class life. Solid tips, union protections, and a cost of living that didn't swallow your paycheck whole. You could work one job, pay your rent, and still have something left over at the end of the month. That was the promise of this city for decades. That equation collapsed. Wages in the service industry have barely moved in years. Meanwhile, rent jumped over 40% since 2020. Groceries climbed. Insurance premiums doubled. Utilities spiked every summer. Workers are earning 2009 paychecks while paying 2026 bills. One casino employee told us she now works 6 days a week just to cover what 5 days used to handle. And she's not alone. Across the valley, hospitality workers are burning out, picking up second jobs, or simply leaving for cities where the numbers make sense. Some are moving to smaller towns in Arizona or Texas where their wages stretch further. The cruel irony is that Las Vegas needs these workers more than ever. Tourism is booming. Resorts are packed, but the people serving those guests can barely afford to live here anymore. When your rent eats 60% of your income and your paycheck hasn't grown in half a decade, our loyalty to a city only goes so far. And for families trying to raise kids here, staying stopped being just expensive. It became risky. Number 6. Schools and healthcare. Fell behind the growth. Las Vegas added hundreds of thousands of new residents over the past decade. The schools and hospitals did not keep up. Clark County remains one of the largest and lowest-ranked school districts in the country. Classrooms are overcrowded. Teachers are overwhelmed and underpaid. Many leave for other states where conditions are better, and salaries actually reflect the work. Parents who moved here expecting decent public education found themselves scrambling for alternatives they couldn't afford. Private school tuition can run $15,000 to $25,000 per child per year. For a family with 2 kids, that's a second mortgage. Many simply cannot make it work and feel trapped by the lack of options. And it's not just education. Healthcare access has become its own crisis. Wait times for specialists stretch into months. Emergency rooms overflow on weekends. Primary care doctors are booked out weeks in advance. Rural areas within the valley have it even worse, with some neighborhoods considered medical deserts. One mother shared that she waited 3 months just to get her son into a pediatric neurologist. By then, the issue had already worsened. Families feel abandoned by systems that were supposed to grow with the city. Instead, they watched infrastructure lag further and further behind, while officials celebrated population booms and tourism records. When you can't get your kid into a decent school or see a doctor without a marathon wait, the breaking point comes fast. But even beyond schools and clinics, the climate itself started turning against residents. Number 5. Extreme heat became a daily risk, not a season. Summers in Las Vegas have always been brutal, but what used to be 2 rough months has stretched into 5. Triple-digit temperatures now arrive in May and linger past October. And we're not talking about a comfortable 100 degrees. We're talking 115, 118, 120, the kind of heat that kills. Last year, Clark County recorded over 400 heat-related deaths. That number has climbed steadily for the past 5 years and shows no sign of slowing down. Outdoor workers, elderly residents, and anyone without reliable air conditioning are most at risk. Homeless populations suffer the worst, with shelters overwhelmed during peak summer months. But even healthy locals feel it. You can't walk your dog at noon. You can't let your kids play outside after school. You schedule your life around avoiding the sun like it's a threat, because it is. Then come the power bills. Running air conditioning around the clock pushes monthly electricity costs to $400, $500, even $700 in peak summer. That's thousands of extra dollars a year just to survive. Some families skip cooling certain rooms just to keep the bill manageable. For many, the heat isn't just uncomfortable anymore. It's dangerous and expensive. And when even stepping outside feels like a gamble, people start wondering if this is really where they want to raise a family. But even when residents retreat indoors to escape the heat, the city's growth is still pushing into spaces that were never meant for tourists. Number 4, the Strip's expansion pushed into local life. The Las Vegas Strip used to have clear boundaries. Resorts stayed in their lane, and the rest of the valley belonged to residents. That line has blurred beyond recognition. Mega developments are creeping closer to neighborhoods. The new baseball stadium near the site of the old Tropicana, massive resort expansions pushing outward, construction projects stretching into areas that were once quiet residential zones. Even small business districts are being swallowed up by corporate entertainment ventures targeting tourists instead of locals. What used to be community hubs are now designed for visitors with deep pockets. Traffic patterns shifted almost overnight. Streets that locals relied on for commutes became bottlenecked arteries clogged with tourists and rideshares. Freeways that once flowed now crawl during hours that used to be clear. A drive that took 15 minutes 5 years ago can now take 45 on a busy weekend. And the construction never stops. Cranes on the horizon, dust clouds drifting into subdivisions, noise at all hours as the city reshapes itself for visitors, not for the people who already live here. Longtime residents say it feels like the city is being built over them, not around them. Every new announcement is another project aimed at tourists, investors, or corporations. Locals watch their commutes get longer, their streets get louder, and their sense of ownership over the city slip further away. And while the skyline kept changing, something quieter was draining their bank accounts month after month. Number 3, insurance and utility costs quietly spiked. This one doesn't make headlines, but it hits every single month. Car insurance in Nevada has climbed to among the highest in the nation. Home insurance premiums followed right behind, driven by climate risk, construction costs, and insurer pullbacks from the region. A policy that cost $800 a year in 2020 now runs over $1,500. Some homeowners have seen even steeper jumps, especially in older neighborhoods where claims have increased. And the trend shows no signs of reversing anytime soon, according to industry analysts. And if you're a renter, don't assume you're safe. Renters' insurance went up too, along with utility bills that seem to rise with every billing cycle. Electricity costs alone can eat $300 to $400 a month during summer. Water bills have increased as drought restrictions tighten. Even garbage and sewer fees keep creeping upward. None of these increases came with matching wage growth. So residents absorb the hit month after month, watching their budgets shrink from all directions at once. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. No single bill breaks you, but together they squeeze until there's nothing left. People have stopped looking at their statements because the numbers only bring frustration. And when every envelope in your mailbox carries a higher number than last month, the frustration builds into something bigger. You stop asking how to make it work. You start asking why you're still here. That question leads directly to the next problem reshaping Las Vegas from the inside out. Number 2, the city shifted from living space to investment asset. Las Vegas used to be a place where people built lives, bought homes, raised families, retired with a little sunshine and no state income tax. It felt attainable in a way that coastal cities never did. For decades, it represented a real shot at the American dream for working-class families. Now it feels like a product being flipped for profit. Out-of-state investors swooped in during the pandemic and never left. They bought single-family homes sight unseen, often paying tens of thousands over asking in cash. Locals couldn't compete. First-time buyers watched dream homes slip away to faceless LLCs before they could even schedule a showing. Corporate landlords converted entire subdivisions into rental portfolios managed by algorithms. Short-term rental platforms turned neighborhoods into revenue streams. Even the new housing being built isn't aimed at residents. It's luxury condos, investment units, and developments designed for people who will never actually live here. The result is a city that looks full on paper but feels hollow in practice. Homes sit empty between bookings. Neighborhoods lack the consistency that creates community. And longtime residents feel like strangers in a place they used to own. When a city becomes more valuable as an asset than as a home, the people who made it livable get pushed aside. That's exactly what's happening in Las Vegas. And it leads directly to the reason more locals are leaving. than at any point in recent memory. Number 1. The feeling that Las Vegas is no longer home. This is the one that hurts most. You can budget around high rent, you can tolerate traffic and tourists, you can run the air conditioning and pay the bill, but you cannot stay somewhere that no longer feels like yours. Longtime residents describe a slow, creeping loss. The favorite diner that closed, the neighbor who moved, the street that used to feel safe now lined with strangers every weekend. The rhythm of life that made Las Vegas livable has been replaced by something louder, faster, and less human. It's a change you feel in your gut before you can even put it into words. People talk about Las Vegas in the past tense now. Remember when you could get a nice dinner for $40? Remember when you knew everyone on your block? Remember when the city felt like it was built for us? That nostalgia isn't just sentimentality, it's grief. Grief for a version of home that slipped away while everyone was busy chasing growth. Friends who grew up here are scattering to Boise, Phoenix, Reno, anywhere the cost of living still leaves room to breathe. Some never imagined leaving but now see no other way forward. And when home stops feeling like home, no tax break or sunshine can keep you there. That's the real reason locals are leaving Las Vegas in 2026. Not because they gave up, because the city they loved gave up on them first. The question now is whether Las Vegas will wake up before it's too late, or whether the exodus has only just begun.